Today on Investigate TV Plus, a grandfather's life savings seized by federal agents at the airport, yet there's no arrest.
I say, what is it against the law for me to travel with cash? I'm up here to purchase a truck.
We take an in-depth look at the law that some are calling a cash grab and the efforts on Capitol Hill to change it.
Plus, an elderly woman swindled out of her savings after one click.
I believed him. I really thought, okay, somebody's trying to, take this money out. I got to secure all this money.
We examine a crypto con that ended with scammers robbing her of thousands.
And creating opportunity.
Changed my life. Able to get a job.
The program that enables artists with disabilities to design and market their own artwork.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
At airports across the country, drug agents stop airline passengers just trying to make their flight and take their money. Our investigation found that in the vast majority of these cases, the passengers were not arrested or charged with any crime. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. It's called civil asset forfeiture, and according to the ACLU, thousands of people are stopped and stripped of their money each year by U.S. law enforcement. During civil asset forfeiture, the money is arrested instead of the passenger carrying the cash. According to court records we obtained, passengers are forced to prove on the spot their money was earned legitimately. Experts say once cash is seized, it can be a long, expensive process for the owner to get it back.
But one man did just that. Investigator Brendan Keefe goes in depth with a Louisiana grandfather who, after having his life savings taken by drug agents at the airport, fought the government to get what was rightfully his returned.
Kermit Warren is back on the road to recovery. His fight with the government finally in the rearview mirror.
What does this truck mean to your livelihood?
Everything. Without this, I can't make my money. I can't feed my family.
It wasn't a hurricane here in New Orleans' lower Ninth Ward that took his life savings. DEA agents seized his $28,000 at the airport in Columbus, Ohio.
They said we were notified that you had a lot of cash on you. I said, what is it against the law for me to travel with cash? I'm up here to purchase a truck.
The pandemic took Kermit's job as the shoe shine man at a New Orleans hotel, so he and his son decided to start a towing business. They found this used truck for sale in Ohio and flew there with the cash to buy it, but they decided it wasn't the right truck for them.
I said, I'm not going to get this vehicle. We're going to go to the airport. We're going to fly back to New Orleans.
With the money.
With the money.
They left with the same money in this bag photographed when they arrived in Ohio. On the way home, Kermit told TSA at the Columbus airport he had a large amount of cash, and court records show the TSA informed the DEA agents, who seized the money without finding drugs.
I wasn't arrested. I wasn't charged with any kind of crimes or anything. All they wanted to do was take my cash and send me back home.
They didn't have to prove you were a drug dealer. You had to prove you weren't a drug dealer.
That's correct, sir. I said, if you don't believe me, we have the number to the gentleman who we're going to buy the vehicle from. We have a description of the vehicle. We have pictures of the vehicle. Didn't want to hear any of that. It was just see cash, take cash.
Kermit's father drowned here when the levees broke during Hurricane Katrina. His mother died soon after. They didn't have much, but what they had, they left to their son. And Kermit says that inheritance was among the money the DEA seized.
Most of it was my life savings. I would take $100 per week and put on the side for like 25 years.
How did Kermit eventually pay for a tow truck? He filed a claim for his own money in federal court.
Drug dealers don't try to get their money back from the police. They say, well, this is the cost of doing business, right?
That's correct. I would have chalked it up and said, that's just a part of that lifestyle. But I work hard for my money. Everything I have is from blood, sweat, and tears.
Now he's back in the driver's seat here in New Orleans, the sun setting on the case after the nonprofit Institute for Justice represented him for free, and federal prosecutors agreed to drop the case and return his money.
What was it like when the government gave you every single penny back? How did that feel?
I knew I would get it back because I know one thing: I was innocent.
Do you feel vindicated?
Of course. Why wouldn't I? I'm fighting with everything living inside of me that this does not happen to anybody else.
Investigative reporter Brendan Keefe joins us now. Brendan, we understand there's been a change since you first exposed this practice at the world's busiest airport.
Lee, it appears that the DEA task force operating at Atlanta's airport has backed off since our investigation began. There is no training listed at all this year for Operation Jetway on the task force website. Now, of course, the DEA won't confirm any of this either way, but it does appear as though they've changed their behavior since we started investigating.
And what should someone do if they're approached by law enforcement at an airport? Are they free to just walk away?
Attorneys tell us the magic words are, "Am I free to go?" But in several cases we've reviewed, drug agents told passengers who refused to give consent that they'd have to wait on a drug dog or a warrant or some other delay that could make them miss their flight.
Members of Congress are responding to our investigation. 9 Democrats and 9 Republicans have co-sponsored the Fifth Amendment Integrity Restoration Act, or FAIR Act. The FAIR Act would force the government to prove to a federal judge with clear and convincing evidence that money seized came from a criminal activity. Also, all cash civil forfeitures would go to the Treasury's general fund, so federal agencies and local police would no longer get to keep the money they seize.
You're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Not, oh, you're guilty, give me your stuff, and then you can have it back if you prove you didn't get it through ill-gotten gains. And that's not the way our country's supposed to work.
The power of the government to simply seize property just based on a belief, a mere belief, an unfounded belief even, that property is associated or connected with criminal activity.
The bill is still waiting for a full House floor vote. Our in-depth coverage continues online. You can read and watch Brendan's reports on civil asset forfeiture on InvestigateTV.com. Just search "In Plain Sight" in the search bar.
Coming up, when a gratuity becomes gratuitous.
And some places are going, maybe I can just dial up the prices a little bit, but also add a tip line.
An etiquette expert explains tipping techniques.
But first, an elderly woman clicked a pop-up security warning on her computer
Said to call this number.
and got drawn into a frightening scam.
It's devastating. I went to a very dark place.
An in-depth look at the cryptocurrency con that nearly cost her everything. You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime, streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download. More than $3 billion. That's how much the FBI says older Americans lost to cryptocurrency fraud in 2022, a staggering $2 billion increase from the year before. A study in the National Institutes of Health says Americans over the age of 60 will often fall for crypto scams because of a lack of awareness. The study also says they are less likely to acknowledge that they were victims of a crime.
And since cryptocurrency payments do not come with any legal protections and there's no regulating body overseeing its use, it's especially attractive to thieves. The types of cryptocurrency include Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Ripple. The FBI says cryptocurrency is becoming the preferred payment for all types of scams, where losses can reach into the hundreds of thousands of dollars per victim.
Consumer reporter Susan Campbell goes in depth with a woman who lost more than $200,000 after she responded to a pop-up alert on her computer.
Friday, 7:15. You're working on it. Don't mess up the things.
The phone calls were incessant.
Ma'am, this is David. Really want to talk to you, ma'am.
And sometimes threatening.
So don't do anything wrong.
This is the middle of a scam that started with a pop-up message on a laptop that appeared to be a security alert.
Said to call this number.
Sue, who asked us to just use her middle name, called.
He says, somebody's trying to take $14,500 out of your account. He says, but we got to secure the rest of your money. So he had me go down, withdraw the money, $14,500, and go put it in a Bitcoin machine. So that's what I did.
Had you ever heard of a Bitcoin machine before?
No, I knew nothing about Bitcoin machines.
Every day for 13 days, Sue deposited more money into Bitcoin ATMs at convenience stores.
Why did you do this over so many days?
Because I believed him. I believed him. I really thought, okay, somebody's trying to, take this money out. I got to secure all this money. All the money went into my wallet, but I never got the money. He took it.
It wasn't really your wallet.
It was up. I don't know where it went.
The bankers tried to stop you?
Yes. But I believed him because he said that they were going to try to do that. He told me not to say nothing to nobody. He said my phone, my computer, everything was hacked to where I didn't talk to anybody about, I didn't tell anybody about it, not even my son.
How much money did you lose?
$204,000.
What does the loss of $204,000 mean?
It's devastating. I went to a very dark place.
Sue kept her secret for months, just like so many people who've been tricked by elaborate scams.
With these crypto scams, they're not looking for a few $1,000s. They're looking for a few $100,000. They will tell you to go down to a local Bitcoin ATM. They'll give you the QR code, the quick response code. So all you have to do is walk in there, scan the little code, and start putting cash into the ATM. And it's actually really simple. And you think you have control over your money, but you don't.
Brian Watson is a retired special agent for IRS criminal investigation and now works with a nonprofit called ROSE, which stands for Resources and Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly.
Time is your friend. You've got to stop. You may have to hang up on these people. You may have to delete an email. You may have to turn your computer off. But don't react quickly. Go get a second opinion.
Have you told your son now?
Oh yeah, he knows. And I've got 2 friends that know, and that's it. My family have no idea, that it happened. Yeah, I'm just embarrassed. I really am. And people will say I'm a victim, but I got to be a survivor. I got to be a survivor.
It's worth repeating. If a message appears on your screen or you get an alert on your phone, don't click that link, don't call that number. If you have concerns about your money, look up the bank's real phone number and call directly. In Phoenix, I'm Susan Campbell.
If you suspect a scam, there are a number of steps you can take to protect yourself. These include filing a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau or the FTC. You can also call the AARP's Fraud Watch Network at 877-908-3360.
Coming up, inspired to create.
This place means a lot to me. It did a lot for me.
The organization empowering artists with disabilities to make and sell their artwork.
Plus, from the coffee shop to sit-down dinners, more and more businesses want you to tip. We go to the experts to find out how much is enough and when it's okay to say no. Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to InvestigateTV Plus on all social media platforms.
There are a pair of money questions popping up more and more. Should you leave a tip, and if so, how much? I've gotten to the point where I just leave a tip all the time because I don't really know, and it's safe to just leave something.
I do too. But whether it's takeout or anything, I always feel like I should. Although, like the people actually waiting on you, I try to give more. Like servers, things like that. Yes. All right. If you feel pressured or even a little annoyed after a digital kiosk asks you to leave a tip, you are not alone. A 2024 survey by WalletHub found a majority of Americans think tipping has gotten out of control. More than 1 in 4 Americans tip less when they're presented with a tip suggestion screen. And half of Americans say they often leave a tip due to social pressure rather than good service.
We take a look at why you're seeing more prompts to tip and what you should do the next time you're asked.
Everybody should be able to ask for a tip.
It's important.
How about at the register?
I think that's a little different.
From restaurants to delivery apps, and even that morning cup of coffee. The option to tip is attached to a growing number of services. This trend is dubbed tip creeping, which Retail Wire defines as the increasing variety of services that now expect a tip from customers. Dr. Stephen Miller of the Lee Business School at UNLV says what was a pandemic pastime to help struggling service workers has stuck.
They're trying to give you the hint, not so much tipping, it's inflation.
A May of 2023 report from NerdWallet shows 29% of Americans feel the pressure to tip has increased over the last year.
When surprised with a tip prompt where I haven't seen one before, I pay it.
Corey Mintz is the author of The Next Supper, The End of Restaurants as We Knew Them, and What Comes After. He says as businesses struggle with surging cost, some may lower base pay, then you, the customer, make up the difference.
Some places are going, maybe I can just dial up the prices a little bit, but also add a tip line. Maybe some of my customers will complain. Maybe some of them won't tip.
But many customers feel employers should start paying up. 41% of those surveyed by Bankrate say they would like to see employers pay their employees better.
We don't pay servers a minimum wage, much less a living wage, the way we do people who work in other positions that also get tipped.
Dan Post-Sinning is an etiquette expert and co-president of the Emily Post Institute. He says there's a difference between dining out, sit-down table service, and all the other places we encounter an invitation to tip these days.
So believe it or not, that barista, that person behind the counter who turns that iPad around with the suggested tip amounts, that person is likely to be making a higher hourly wage than the person that's bringing your food to you at the table, at least when you separate the tips out. So it really is a discretionary tip.
U.S. Bureau of Labor data from May of 2023 says the median wage for fast food and counter workers is $13.43 an hour for full-time staff, excluding tips. Dan says a sit-down meal is really a unique tipping experience compared to the others. He also says when it comes to tipping, we should remember it boils down to thanking the worker who served us.
Gratuities are rooted in gratitude.
The experts we spoke to say nearly 9 in 10 Americans consider themselves good tippers, and women specifically feel they tip well. Baby boomers are considered top tippers, while Gen Z tends to tip less.
Also, the experts we spoke to suggest a 20% tip at the register, especially if you don't know the worker's base pay. They also say it's okay to say no thanks to a tipped prompt.
Up next, drawing inspiration.
It's just a big boost for people. It's a lot of wind in their sails.
The nonprofit giving artists with disabilities an outlet to create and an opportunity to thrive. You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes.
I fell in love when I walked through the door.
And that door is opening up opportunities for artists with disabilities by inspiring them to create and sell their own original works of art.
Yeah, the U.S. Department of Labor reported record employment gains by disabled workers in 2023, but gaps still remain. Reporter Heather Graff is in Washington, D.C., where a nonprofit called Art Enables is working to change that by enabling these artists to find their vision and voice.
The color, the creativity, and each carefully curated exhibition is similar to what you'd see in any art gallery anywhere. And that's by design.
This is how I paint.
Because Vanessa Monroe and her fellow artists here are professionals.
I'm a very good artist.
Empowered through a vocational program called Art Enables.
Many of the artists that we work with have intellectual or developmental disabilities. We work with artists that have mental health needs and challenges. We also work with artists that have suffered traumatic brain injury. It's hard for any of us to find work that really speaks to us and taps our skills and our talents and our dreams. And that's especially true for individuals with disabilities. There's so many barriers.
This nonprofit based in Washington, D.C. aims to remove some of those barriers by providing artists with disabilities both a studio where they can work and a gallery where their original pieces can be sold.
When a piece of artwork sells, you stick a little red dot, a little red sticker on the label. And it is always exciting in the studio, in the gallery, when we're able to put those red dots up and people see that their artwork is selling.
Changed my life. Able to get a job, and it's gonna be my job forever. I'm not going nowhere.
Vanessa's joy on full display alongside her art.
Yeah, I'm doing his spots.
Knowing each painting she sells helps her earn a living.
It feels real good, because I get paid.
But ask anyone in this room.
Wow, that looks good there, Charles.
Or simply watch as artist and studio coordinator Tony Lane makes her way from table to table.
Here you go. The red and the black.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And you'll see the job is about much more than money.
This place means a lot to me. It did a lot for me.
A place where coworkers turned family show constant support.
You did very well.
And celebrate each other's successes.
You know, I'm like...
For instance, Tony's artwork in 2021 was chosen for a special collection at the Library of Congress.
I'm in the Library of Congress. So that's a cool feeling.
Building a career and confidence, income and independence.
I like it here.
All of it enabled by art.
When we're seeing sort of the professional achievement in the joy and satisfaction of hard work paying off, there's just a lot of beauty there.
The organization says its artists have sold more than $1 million in artwork, and you can actually purchase that artwork online. Just go to artenables.org.
And that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm T. Chappelle. Thanks for watching. On the next Investigate TV Plus, reports of Apple AirTags being used to track people, and we examine ways to protect yourself.
The only safe version of an AirTag is an AirTag that's being pulled from the market.
Plus, how Apple is responding to concerns and why some critics say it's not enough.